So with solo leveling Arise, one thing which I do want to do right now is I want to go over JINWOO's skills. Now, of course, with the man himself, he does offer a variety of skills that you can take with yourself depending on the situation that you're in with the fights that you are going to be having. Now, hopefully down the line we get more. I think that'd be very nice to have. Keep it refreshing, you know, and keep it interesting in terms of combination that we can apply. But as of right now, these are the sets of basic skills that we have for JINWOO. So I will predominantly go into the skills itself. I mean, you can always work on the QTE skills. I mean, I've just kind of left that at level 3, and then of course the ultimate, you know, make sure you're kind of catering for those. But skills are going to be helping you out in terms of building your JINWOO in situations where, let's say, if you need break, or if you need to do more damage, or if you need crit boost, or if you need shield, invincibility. There's a lot that can be catered to multiple situations between changing around JINWOO's skills. And so we're going to go through them. I will advise you guys the better skills to use. I've already got 2 of them on, but regardless, yeah. So the first basic skill kind of does a bit of a spinneroonie, to be honest. Can I do a preview? Let's begin. So with each basic skill, there are always going to be 4 ruins. There's going to be 4 variants of the skill itself that you can use. And so with the first one, it's kind of a bit of a spinner. I want to call it like a little spinneroonie with the dagger. So, you know, you damage dealt to non-boss monsters with the first ruin, with the second ruin. So there are certain basic skills with ruins that correlate with others. So for example, with this one, when using this skill, it increases the damage of new plates by 10% for 10 seconds, stacking up to 2 turns. And if I can remember correctly, this is this skill. So it's basically asking you to put the first basic skill to this skill together to reap the reward of this specific ruin right here. To do that extra 10%, you can stack it up to 2 times, so 20%. It does have 2 attributes, being fire and wind support. So with the fire one, the additional is that you get a 7% increase on your critical hit rate for 8 seconds when using this skill. Could be pretty handy. I would say that if this was dark, then this would be a lot more better, but moving along. And then the wind gives you stun. So it allows you to stun the enemy, and when the skill hits, it charges dash 1 time. Is this the skill that I used before? I'm pretty sure I utilized this skill near the end of the story mode for myself. Personally, I wouldn't. Outside of needing area control, there are better ruins that I managed to obtain and get, and so this has kind of, yeah, I've not really ever needed to ever use this specific skill. Moving along to the second skill. So got the crushing blow set. Oh wait, are the names the same? Ah, there we go, they are the same. Okay, I thought each ruin had different names. So that was the double slash set. So now we've got the crushing blow set. Crushing blow, I did actually make good use to fight Igris too, so not too bad. But anyway, has multiple support in terms of attribute: wind, light, dark, fire. With the wind, it does provide break, which is beautiful. Increase the attack by 2% for 12 seconds when the skill hits, stacking up to 2 times, so that's an extra 4% right there. And then it applies a shield, so in terms of breakage, support on the offensiveness for your attack and providing you with a shield, it's pretty nice, you know, can't go wrong with that. And then of course with the light one, this is the one that I did utilize to defeat Igris. Once again, provides you with a break, which is nice, and then of course it has a debuff, which is when the skill hit, it applies a light debuff, so deals damage equal to 20% of the attack every 3 seconds, decreases attack by 10%, duration 30 seconds, of course. Moving along to the dark one, which gives you invincibility and counter attack. So the break on this is light. It does apply a shield, 10% of the user's HP for 1 second. And basically it's a free counter attack, so if the enemy does come in with an attack, you can activate this within that split second to then activate a counter attack. You will then become invincible, and then it deals heavy break damage and stuns the target upon the successful counter attack. So if you don't successfully counter attack, it's a bit of a wet wipe, although it will give you something. But if you do successfully counter attack, then it will help you out tremendously in terms of breakage and that stun too. So there's that. And then we've got the fire element, which gives you medium break, It also charges up your power gauge by 20% and decreases the cooldown of your ultimate skill by 20%. Oh, sorry, by 20 seconds, my bad. When the user uses this skill, cooldown 30 seconds. So this is just a power gauge and ultimate decreaser, of course. So that's not too bad on that part. So with the crushing blow set, in all honesty, I wouldn't straight away work on this. I have put a few levels into it because it is somewhat helpful in terms of the dark version of it, because I did mostly use this as well as the light. I could have potentially somehow used the fire. That's not too bad, again, that power gauge up with the ultimate skill, but it really has been the light and the dark that I've been kind of utilizing best. But as of right now, with their other skills that I would prioritize over this, Crushing Blow. But Crushing Blow, I would say, once you've kind of worked on the ones that I would highly recommend, then you can kind of track back and make your way over to Crushing Blow. It's not a bad set. I wouldn't, again, prioritize it. It's mid. I would say it's mid. Something to, I guess, you can cater to at a later time. I'm not gonna go too far into the dagger toss. I have never. Obviously, I believe you start off with it. I'm pretty sure the game makes you use this skill, if I can remember correctly. Yeah, the minute I unlocked other ruins and other skills, I have never ever used this attack at all. But yeah, moving over to the next one, being multi-strike. So once again, multiple typing coverage. We've got water, dark, fire, dark, and light, of course. So with the water one, as you guys can see, does provide break. It has a correlation between Crushing Blow, which we just spoke about. Interesting. But so basically what this does is that it gives you the increased damage of Crushing Blow by 10% for 10 seconds. When the last attack in the combo hits, it deals break light damage for every 3 seconds for 9 seconds, of course. This one I haven't really found. Well, no, this is one of the ones for multi-strike that I haven't personally used because I prefer the other versions of it. But one thing I should mention is that even though it's suggesting to use Crushing Blow with it to get that extra 10%, you don't really need to. It's not really worth it, to be honest. So just an FYI. But the water one's there. The fire one again gives you break. This one allows you to do more damage to bosses and elites, increased by 30%. I believe there is a better version of this ruin, but you can make good use of that if you choose to, especially if the enemy is weak to fire. The dark one is the one that I use the most when it comes to using my multi-strike, as it provides invincibility for JINWOO, and not only that, every time this skill hits, it increases my damage by 2%, stacks up to 2 times. So that's basically a free 4%, and you have invincibility to get that 4%. When the skill hits, it resets the cooldown of Dagger Toss, which is the skill which we just spoke about. Once again, a skill which I highly would not recommend to work on. If you want to use it, go for it, but don't bother wasting scrolls on it. So, and then of course we've got the light, which also provides break for light, or light break, should I say. This one gives you super armor, not invincibility, but super armor, so you won't get interrupted. However, it also provides you with a critical hit rate increase of 3% for 8 seconds. When this skill hits, resets cooldown is 20 seconds, of course. I know that for the multi-strike, it really is the dark and the light that are utilized the most in terms of breakage, as well as the additional buff of the increased damage percentage going up, as well as the crit hit rate going up. Obviously right now with the weaponry, you know, people are catering to crits, so something to kind of utilize for the multi-strike. Multi-strike is one of the good ones, I will say. But I would, this is probably top 5. I think multi-strike would be 100% top 5. So I would say cater to it, but focus on the ones that I'm about to mention soon. Moving along to the next one, vertical arts. Now, truth be told, I haven't really used this skill, not really seen any value of it. So once again, if the enemy is, so yeah, increased damage dealt to targets in break state by 70%. I've never ever really had to ever use this. Don't see the point of it. So yeah, you got the fire one. Once again, allows you to do 45% more damage to elites and bosses. So obviously, which one was it? So this one gives you 30%, but it provides break. Does this one provide break? No, but you get the extra 15%. Wouldn't use it. Would not use that. I believe the dark one gives you a shield equal to your HP by 10% for 1 second. So basically, this is another counter attack. This is basically another counter. So on the Crushing Blow, you've got the Crushing Blow counter attack, which I would suggest over this counter attack 100%. 100%. Yeah, and it provides you with stun, but the crushing blow one's better, if you wanted my opinion on that. And then you've got the dark type, which, I mean, it kind of pulls them in, which is kind of nice, you know, if you kind of need that. Depending on the number of targets, this skill hit increases damage dealt to non-boss monsters by 10%. Again, yeah, so vertical art, realistically, I don't see any usage for it. I really wouldn't go about leveling this one up, boys. Yeah, although some people might want to cater to the dark version, you got a better version of it. With this, it does give you crowd control, but there's a better skill for that as of right now. So yeah, vertical arch you guys don't need to worry about. Oh, here we go, cutting rush. Okay, so one of the ones that I'm desperately wanting is the dark one, because it gives me invincibility, and then it also gives me my crit hit rate up by 7% for 12 seconds. So I'm kind of wanting that just for that, of course. The other ones that I don't have is when landing at the back attack has a 20% chance to apply a 100% crit hit rate on the next attack. So I mean, if you want to cater to the back attack, that can help you out with certain weapons, you know. So that's something to look forward to once I get that unlocked. But truth be told, with cutting rush, there is a specific Reuben that is being catered to a lot. So with the second to first, when the skill hits, it resets cooldown, and then it also, when the skill is used, it increases the critical hit damage by 20% for 12 seconds. So now we've got the hit damage support from this specific Reuben. Now, it really is this skill, which you might have seen me use sometime, that does help out in terms of damage. So it increases damage dealt to targets in break state by 70%. This one holds, I mean, I understand there are others, but the crushing rush right now holds a lot more damage. This is the one, again, like I said, with certain bosses I've done videos on and whatnot, I have been using this specific skill. Especially increases damage dealt to targets in a break state. So once they're in that break state, this hits absolutely hard. You do achieve some good numbers from it, I will say. So yeah, cutting rush, I would say, is one of the ones that you might want to, you know, level up a tad bit. All right, so let's have a look. Vital strike. So with the first one, you basically, the minute you use the skill, you get a 7% increase for 12 seconds. Fairly straightforward, not too bad in terms of needing that extra 7% if you want that. With the second ruin, of course, it decreases the target's defense by 15%. I don't think, I think I've got that on current. Well, no, I think I was using this because I needed that extra defense drop, which did help me out. But you've got to keep in mind with Shadow Step, you do get the defense drop, so you kind of don't really need to go about doing that. Hone in. So this is one of the most, I think this is the most hardest damaging skill right now. So in terms of doing damage to bosses and elites, you know, you get that 45%. Hone in is the best one for this. So if you're trying to use the correct skill to do damage to bosses and elite monsters, yeah, it's going to be, you want to cater to this one. So obviously working on Vital Strike is one of the top ones, which I would suggest. The water one just gives you a full-on shield, which you don't need to worry about, to be honest. But it is predominantly the extra 45%. So again, with certain boss fights and certain time attack missions, if you want to call it that, which again I have done videos on, so you might have seen me use this skill. Yeah, this is one of the skills that helps out to do a lot of damage to boss. Wait, yeah, no, I'm confident saying I even mentioned it in one of the boss fights that I'm taking this to do a ton of damage. So yeah. Alright, so we've got Mutilate right now, which I do enjoy. It's a bit flashy. Christ almighty, that's gone all over the place. Truth be told, with Mutilate, it really is the first and the last one that I do use. I think predominantly a lot of people tend to use the water one because this one is basically a free freeze. You can basically freeze, you can interrupt the enemy. It also applies frostbite, so that's DOT being applied right there. This one is not bad at all. The ones that don't have attribute, I don't typically ever use, to be honest. Yeah, this one is, this Mutilate, the second ruin is just plain. Don't need to worry about that. When it comes to the, oh, this is light. I mean, it's got lightning, nice. But again, this decreases the target's attack and defense by 8% for 12 seconds. You don't need to worry about that, to be honest. And then you've got the dark version of it. There's a 20% chance that the hunter will ignore 100% of the target's defense and attack when they attack. So in reality, it will be water first, then dark, in my opinion, and then third, fourth, but you won't ever use the Phantom, to be honest, nor the Strike. Stroke of Lightning, yeah, I mean, it's second place 100%. Cold Storm is the one that's kind of being used the most for Mutilate. So yeah, not too bad on that one if you need crowd control, I will say. This, yeah, Death Stance. This is, I feel like this is one of the ones that people keep on forever, even myself. So with Death Stance, you got multiple coverage. You got light, wind, dark, fire. Truth be told, I only use light and wind. I mean, sorry, light and dark. So for the light one, it gives me heavy break. Not only that, when this skill was used, it gives me a crit hit damage increase of 20% for 8 seconds. This does correlate with the commander's touch, and I'll get into that in just a second because it's one of the skills we haven't spoken about yet. So that kind of correlates with that, but you don't need to put that together, to be honest. So yeah, crit hit damage. It's getting buffed up by 20%, so if you want to cater to that, you can do so. One of the good ones. Wind, I never used it. Oh wait, no, I think this is the one that I was using over this one. Oh, I mixed it up. Okay, in that case, yeah, double dash, don't worry about that. Anyway, so you get 3 dashes, there you go. So this one, so yeah, this skill can be used up to 3 times. So this is the one that provides me with decent somewhat crowd control and that I need to use. It also gives me a power gauge charge of 1% when I hit, so yeah, you don't need to worry about that one. I was just using it because I needed attribute support, but in reality, don't need to worry about that. You got the dark one, which provides heavy break, and on top of that, it allows you to do 45% increased damage to elite and monsters. So yeah, you can really, well, like with Hone In, and then of course having Death Stance, and then having that breakage support in terms of altogether having that 90% more damage increased out. Yeah, you can really cater to doing a ton of damage. Right now, with those 2 specific skills, that's how people achieve, especially with dark weaponry, and now these 2 skills in particular, you can really maximize your damage. So again, actually, well, let me get the fire one out of the way. Your damage increases by 200% when you attack enemies with their weakness attribute. So there you go, you guys can cater to. I don't have that, but if I did have that, if I needed that fire attribute increase, then this would have been pretty nice to have. But it really is the light and dark for Death Stance that are just right now really good. I think dark right now is first, and then light is second, and then the last skill, the commander's touch, which we just briefly spoke about because of the Death Stance. It does help that out, so there's that. So with Commander's Touch, again, you guys might have seen me use this on the Igris run. This one is the best one for crowd control. In particular, what you guys are seeing right now, this is the only ruin that people utilize the most because it sucks all the enemies in one group, and that way if you've got any weaponry that just does a ton of damage, aka the sniper, you can one-shot everything in one go. Alright, so when it comes to the Commander's Touch, realistically it is this specific skill that's being catered to. So if you need that crowd control support, that is the skill to go to, simple as. Furthermore, if you want to look at the others, horrible. This one is so bad. Decreases the target's defense by 10%. They can literally just walk. They can moonwalk out of the goddamn circle. It's so annoying. I've used it. I hate it. I don't like it. Yeah, so this is the Liberation. So this skill can be used up to 2 times. Your attack increases by 3% for 12 seconds when your attacks hit, stacking up to 2 times. I did try and use this. Didn't have much success. Although I did get the plus 6%, but in reality this really didn't do much for me outside of just giving me that plus 6%. And then of course you've got the water one. When the skill hits, you recover 3% of your mana points and 3% of the power gauge, activating a maximum of 3 times. Pointless. Again, another one that unless you're building JINWOO in a way where you kind of need to cater to this, then fair play, but in reality I've never really utilized that. It really is the crowd control skill, the first ruin that you just kind of need to worry about. So yeah, you don't really need to go about leveling up this skill purely because it's for crowd control. Yeah, you don't need to level this one up. So yeah, boys, those are the skills and those are the ones I would suggest. So once again, Death Stance, work on that. Vital Strike, if you've got Hone In, work on that. Kite and Rush, if you've got the first ruin, work on that. Obviously with Death Stance it will be these 2 in particular. Multi-Strike, work on that. And Crushing Blow. Those are going to be my top 5 skills that I would suggest to level up, of course. If you really want to maximize in damage, it really is, like, Death Stance to me right now is like #1. This one I will always forever use. I love catering to it, and I like combining it with other skills. So yeah, Death Stance, and then you can really, I mean, again, if you want to go max damage, you go in with Vital Strike with Hone In. Yeah, you can also mess about with the other two, or the other three, being Cut and Rush if you want to cater to more damage. But Death Stance is number 1, Hone In, Annihilation. I do like my counter attack, to be honest, and it provides me heavy break. But I would still go and cater to multi-strike and then crushing blow. But anyway, boys, that is it. Those are the skills that I would really suggest you cater to in terms of maximizing your damage. But yeah,